Hello, good evening, and welcome to this Fatback 4 special. It's only two of us, but we make up for that. It's myself and Grizz. I'm back from a few days off. Grizz never takes a day off, but he's looking great. And we are here because Fabinho has signed a new long-term deal at Liverpool. Grizz, it feels like ages since I've spoken to you. How are you, my man?
Yeah, it does, and I think the viewers and listeners and all want to know where the hell you've been and what you've been doing, and
I just
I'd like to give you a couple of minutes to tell us where the
um
fuck you been.
just took a few days off. I went camping, which was amazing. Have you ever
Okay,
gone camping?
yeah, when I was about 13, Gav,
Yeah, but you've never gone
12,
with the family,
13.
like.
No, no.
Ah, mate, it's amazing.
Yeah, do you know what? It's too much to worry about if you go with family, kind of thing. Like it's too much to worry about, right? Like when you
No,
go as
no,
a kid
no,
and you're on, no.
no. We went for 4 nights and 4 nights camping, tents, gazebos, cooler boxes, you know, fucking camping chairs, grills, stoves, all that sort of messing. And Barry Devaney asked glamping or camping. It was camping. Glamping is not. It's just going to a camping site, but you're living in an actual building. No, it was proper camping, and I
Okay.
loved it. I have to say, it was brilliant. First night, it absolutely pissed rain from about 9:30 that night till probably 9:30 the next morning. Then we great
That's the
weather,
fun
but
part, right? That's the fun part when it's raining and like you're
no, this rain was not
all
fun.
under a tent.
I
No,
thought it was I thought I was going to wake up in a pool of water, but no, we got there. We got there in the end. So I had a great 4 nights and 5 days off, and then I come back and I just annoyed everybody yesterday, from early doors right up until late last night, to make sure we're all in good form, and we seem to be. But that's me. That's what happened to me, and now I'm back. But Grays, we're here because Fabinho has signed a new deal at Liverpool. He looks delighted. He said he's delighted. He was very positive in the talks from the outset. He wanted to stay at the club. He wants to play at the club for many, many more years. And the words are a long term deal. How big is this, Grizz? Because I'm going to tell you, I think it's huge. I think it's huge. You've spoken about spines of sides and stuff like that, and you look at Allison Van Dijk, Fabinho, and then Salah as that kind of four through the spine. And the word is that Allison might maybe next. Salah, it looks like Liverpool are ready to reward him, and Van Dijk they seem fairly confident on. But how big is this one to get things going? Because I've seen in the comments already people saying, "Oh, our big business this summer will be renewals of contracts." So I don't necessarily agree with that, but it's a huge one, isn't it? Regardless of what else is going on with transfers and stuff like that.
always, always. Look, it's boring, isn't it? And that's the kind of vibes we're getting from the comments and on Twitter, wherever that contracts are boring. Give us signings, and I can understand the signings frustration, but this, as you said, is absolutely vital. Um, how many times did we speak about? Oh, there you go. I was literally going to say, Chris Brack says, great to see us getting the key members of the spine tied down to long term deals. I assume Allison, VVD, Robbo, and Salah will be soon. Exactly that. All great teams, what they do need when you talk about sustaining success or maintaining this high level of play that we've witnessed is to keep your best players. And all those players Chris mentions and Trent and Fabinho today are our best players. Now, when we spoke about, or as the viewers and listeners like to remind me, when I spoke about a legacy summer, what I meant was, apart from Mbappe, of course, you know, what I
Mm.
meant was, and I gave context, was we need to strengthen the spine of the team. So what that means is ensuring the current spine are tied down to new deals and getting about three new players down that middle. We've added Kanate, we will add another central midfielder, and we will add another attacker. But it was absolutely vital that we keep the likes of these players that we're going to keep. Fabinho, Gav, we both rate him very highly. He's an absolute vital cog in this machine. I wouldn't swap him for any DM in the world. I don't know about you.
No, I wouldn't.
Hmm.
I genuinely wouldn't. People talk about Kante, and I think Kante is a brilliant defensive midfielder, but I wouldn't swap him for Fabinho. I think, Fabinho's had the odd injury here and there. We've mentioned that over the last while. Kante most definitely has. I think Kante covers a serious amount of ground. He's very dynamic in what he does. I think Fabinho's the same, but I think Fabinho has a little bit more. I think he's more of a goal threat. I think he's better in the air. I think he's a better range of passing. And I just think he's. Do you know what it is? When I look at Fabinho, and you see the likes of some players like Kante. Would Kante fit in this midfield or that midfield? He'd fit in most, I think. But I think Fabinho, when you look at him, he'd fit in any of them because he has got a range to him where he could play in a two, no problem. He could play he plays as the deepest in a three. He could play in a two of a four-man midfield, no problem. You know the sort of way. And if you were to ask Fabinho, listen, we're going to play another defensive midfielder beside you. We need you to be the man to pick up the ball and move with it, or hit those kind of longer passes, or whatever it might be. I think he's good at that. He's good at that, and we've seen it over the last couple of years since he's joined the club. He loves a little clip ball, a little clip diagonal where he gets Mane in, especially against United the season before last. Things like that, little balls he can hit. He's a good way to pass. He's physically strong. You've seen him at centre half. He performed admirably, but he's not. It's not somewhere I want to see him. But I think it sends out a big statement that he is the main anchor in our midfield now for the next 4 or 5 years going forward. The main anchor in our midfield.
But it's again another reason or another way to look at it is we're at the level now, and a lot of Liverpool fans need to um, see this as well, that we're at a club where we've seen the likes of Zabi Alonso, Mascherano, come ply their trade, and then go on to pastures new when it
Yeah.
really, really peaked for their
And that's
careers. Right?
and that's why I kept Kevin Sullivan's comment up there. He says, because not too long ago, keeping our stars was
There
the
you
main
go.
challenge. I think that's a huge thing. You know, like if you go back maybe before Klopp's time, because since Klopp has come in, I think the Coutinho one is the one that's stung him big time. But if you look at the previous 5-10 years, maybe a bit more, maybe going back a bit more, when a player got to 2 years left, the vultures would have just surrounded us. Because we weren't at our best. We weren't challenging as much as we wanted to challenge, and we weren't paying the money that others will pay. Now, I'm sure if, Man City or Real Madrid before the problems, or Barcelona before the issues they have, even at Bayern Munich, um, if they thought they had a chance at Fabinho, going, if you put us in this position 10 years ago, they'd have circled them, and they would have done all the tricks that they've always done, and they would have thrown loads of money at him. And I'm sure if they thought they had a sniff this time, they would have came and went, listen, Liverpool are offering you. I don't know what money he's on. I presume somewhere north of 150 grand a week. But I'm sure if Man City thought they'd have a sniff, they go in there and go, we give you 250, because he would like he's. Fernandinho was a massive loss to Man City when he couldn't play at centre midfielder. Fabinho's better than him. He's better than him. He's younger than him. He's more athletic. I think he's a better player, and I think he'd be frightening in Man City's team. Absolutely frightening. So I think when you look at Kevin Sullivan's point there about keeping players, and other people have asked, like, is this a diversion against transfers? No, not for me, because you still have to do these things regardless of what's going on with transfers. If we sign nobody between now and the 24th of August and don't do these deals on contracts, you know what I mean? People will go, what the hell is going on? You have to do them. It's just a way of life. We're at 2 years and we go and do that. But I just think I think genuinely, Grizz, I think they've actually nailed their colours to Fabinho's mast and said, listen, that he's the man in the middle of the park for Liverpool for the next 5 years. And we
Yeah,
build everything else around him.
absolutely. And the best years, the best years of his career, as we've discussed many times. Fabinho is the kind of player, Gav, that he's not particularly quick. He's not particularly powerful. So what he uses is his intelligence and reading of the game. Very much like Dietmar Hamann, but he's got far more to his game than Dietmar Hamann did. So he's got that sort of telescopic legs, where he kind of just reads things and gets a tackle in, gets a toe in, intercepts. And so as he gets older, I honestly see him getting better. More experience, the more he learns the game, because he's still 27 is a very good age, and to tie him down is a 5-year deal, wasn't it, lads? Hopefully someone will tell me in the chat. I'm sure it was a 5-year deal, or 4. I'm not sure, 4 or 5 years. New for, to take him up to take him up to 31. That's the best years of his career tied down to Liverpool Football Club, and
Yeah.
that's huge. You know, that's us saying we want you as the main anchor. You, Virgil, Allison, and Salah. Hopefully, right? That's the next 3 4 years. We want to build or whatever we want to do around the team in terms of add-ons, adding on players, etc., as we go along. You guys are the sticking points, along with Robbo and Trent. I think no one can actually complain. No one can actually moan about this business. We're doing it quietly, discreetly. We're doing it, all of them. We're going to do all the players that we've mentioned. They will get done, and I think it's comforting from my point of view. I don't see a negative in it. We may come on to one of the ones that is a bit awkward.
Hmm.
This Fabinho one's fantastic news today. Absolutely.
It is huge, and there's Walter Matilda with a super chat says, "Do you expect Salah's contract to be the last renewal? Will it be the biggest? So maybe waiting to see where everyone else in the squad lands with theirs." I, I don't know. I don't think we're going to just sit and wait. You see, I don't think you can really do that because you're looking at Mane, you're looking at Firmino. I think left with 2 years. You're looking at VVD. You're looking at Allison. You're looking at Jordan Henderson, which we'll get on to later. You can't really say to Salah, "Can you sit over there and wait?" Because if these drag out and drag out, you're gone. The thing is, once you go beyond the 31st of it's usually July around, isn't it? When they've 2 years left, the sort of way. Then you're into the first number on their contract is 1 year and 11 months and 30 days or 29 days, and then it doesn't matter that it was 2 years the day before. It's now 1 year and 11 months left, and that's when alarm bells start ringing off, especially for supporters. So I expect all these deals to be done before this, possibly before the season starts or before the window ends. The sort of way, and they are going to be done. 2026 says Barry Devaney, 4 years extra.
4 years extra. Yeah.
But just on the Walter Matilda one, the Salah one, Grizz, they all have to be being worked on these at the same time. They're all being worked on, and the club don't have to tell any of those players what any other player is getting. They just have to do the deal with that player. When you look at Van Dijk and you look at Mane, you look at Salah, you look at Firmino, you look at Jordan Henderson. Do you expect all them to be in the works and something to come out of this before the window ends?
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. It's. I mean, only they know which order they've done it on. Sorry, I should say. So, for example, while you was on holiday, we done a show about the Trent deal
Mhm.
and how that was probably the least needed or timing of it in terms of priority. But for whatever reason, they thought get that out of the way. I think Fabinho would have been a fairly easy one as well. It's obvious he loves it here. It's obvious his family are happy. His wife's, very happy and active on Twitter. She even interacts with Mad Reds. She's a brave woman.
Mhm.
She doesn't block like me. Kudos to her. So look, it's obvious Fabinho was very happy here. It's he was next, and then Allison's apparently done as well.
Very
I mean,
close.
look, the what's the word? The cynics, the cynics amongst our fan base, and we've got quite a few of them, will say that FSG are going to announce one or two a week until the end of the transfer window instead of announcing players. But look, they have their methods, they have their reasons for when they're going to announce it. And yeah, as you say, I expect the majority of them, if not all of them, to be announced sort of in the next 4 or 5 weeks. Obviously, the Salah one. The question was around the Salah one. I genuinely think, and we've discussed before amongst us on the show, that he's going to be the last one, because once they know where they are with everyone else, then they can sort of whack Salah with the biggest one, as opposed to giving him the biggest one and then everyone else saying, "Well, we want not parity, but we want something quite close to what you're going to give to Salah." But we see how it goes with the Salah one. The rest of them, I really don't see a problem. Virgil, not a problem. Allison, apparently he agreed before he went on holiday. Who else did you say? Mane, Robbo,
Mane, Robbo, Firmino.
Firmino. How old is Firmino?
29. They're all 29. The three front lads.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not so sure on the Firmino one, Gaff. Don't know what your opinions are. If he's got 2 years left, I'm not sure where we go with that one.
Well, I'll keep that for later because we can kind of
Yeah.
run it alongside the Henderson thing because I
Mm,
think they're in a similar boat, the both of them.
mm.
Darren Dunbar's drunk. He's sending in £48.99 super chats. He says, I love the shows. You cover everything. You kept me entertained since 2015. Have a drink on me, lads. My way of saying a big thanks. We won't have a drink on you, Darren. What we do is we take that and we just throw it into the Sienna fund if that's okay. Because we're trying our best with Sienna we'll tell you a little bit about it later, but we're basically trying our best to give as much money as we earn in the next couple of months to Sienna to try help her out. And we done it in June. We made a donation for June recently to our GoFundMe, but we'll tell you a little bit more about Sienna later. But thanks a million for the super chat, and it's very much appreciated. Grizz, when when you see this today, and it's understandable, people are getting a little bit tetchy over transfers, right? And they're getting a bit, where are the transfers? Why? Because there's this myth that goes around that Klopp likes to get his players in early. That doesn't compute. It just doesn't. Okay, we've seen that. Said over the years. Oh, he likes to get his players in early, and then when he don't come in early, people start to fret. Let's just look at it from a point of view. Let's look at it firstly from a point of view that we sign nobody. Okay, now we're not saying we'll sign nobody, but let's look at it from that point of view because I was having a little bit think about this today, and I wanted to kind of look at it from two perspectives, right? So let's just say we sign nobody, okay, between now and the end of the window. Okay, say Origi stays, Shaqiri stays, who else? Nat Phillips is rumored to be on the way out. You see Ben Davies apparently. I think Sheffield United are looking for a loan deal there as well. But let's say we sign nobody, and we get to the end of this window, and we say, okay, we've signed Kanate. Okay, we've brought in Kanate, which was a problem, an issue at centre half that we needed to resolve, which it looks like we have. And we have the squad that we're sitting on now. Okay, what do we make of the summer, A? And B, what do we make of the season going forward? In your opinion?
Right. So in which order do you want me to answer it? So
Any
look,
way you want.
I'll answer it the reverse of the order you asked. So
Okay.
what do we make of the season going into with the squad that we've got? So
Yeah.
let's just say say Phillips is gone, or shall we keep as it is?
No. We just nobody
Nobody goes
leaves.
and nobody leaves.
Yeah, we
Nobody
sit on
comes,
what we
nobody
have.
leaves.
We sit on what we have because the reason I'm asking it that way is because it seems to be, and I think it's fairly common knowledge, and I think it's a fairly accurate thing to say we're looking to get one or two, maybe three out, and we're looking to do business on 1, 2, or 3 in. Okay, so but let's just say we start the season tomorrow with this squad. What do you make of the summer, and what do you think of the season going ahead?
So as I said, I'm gonna answer in
Yeah,
reverse
the
mode.
other way around. Yeah.
So if no one goes and no one leaves, if no one comes in and no one leaves,
Mm-hmm.
we've absolutely got a squad that will challenge. There's absolutely no doubt in my mind. We have or if not, the second best first 11. I'd say first best 11 in the league. And there's absolutely no doubt in my mind. If everyone stays fit, we challenge for the title. There's absolutely no doubt.
Mm-hmm.
Facts, stats, everything's there.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a few ifs, there's a few buts in there. And we've discussed them to hell, but we'll discuss them again. The ifs and buts are the state of the injuries, players coming up from injuries, long-term injuries, and how susceptible they are to picking up further injuries. And that would be my major worry, concern. I'd be absolutely happy with the squad going into it, but I wouldn't be happy if nothing happened in terms of what would I have thought of the summer. And the reason for that, Gav, is because we are not strictly talking about just this summer, this team. We've discussed the ages, the contracts of the players.
Yeah.
We've talked about the health of the players, coming back from injuries. We know Gini Wijnaldum played 50, 60 games. We know our centre backs got injured, so we've addressed that issue. And we also know that A, our front players are aging and need rotation, not enough quality in rotation, and also the AFCON. We discussed this to hell, and also
Mhm.
the age. So I want to be happy. In fact, I'd be fuming, absolutely fuming, if there was no additions to the team. Even if we tie down all the contracts that we've named, and we didn't sell anyone, I wouldn't be happy at all. But once the season started, I would be confident of winning the league. But again, winning the league, we would have had to have near perfect season in terms of injuries, like we did in the season that we won it. Yes, we picked up normal everyday injuries that every club has,
Mhm.
but barring a disaster which was last season, I'd still be confident. But I would have been worried that we lagged behind a transfer window again, and that was my biggest concern, and
Yeah.
would still be my concern if we didn't add.
Yeah. So, but what? So, is it fair to say that me surmising what you have said there is that you're happy with the squad going in, but you're happy with the squad going in because of what you believe Klopp could do with that squad, not with what Klopp is being given to work with. Would that be fair? Because
I think that's very fair.
yeah,
It's
okay,
look, which squad, and we've discussed this. Which squad in history hasn't been added to in terms of all the winning teams, like the
mm,
Fergie teams,
yeah,
the Wenger teams? Every summer they added. Every summer they added. Um, and this season, this summer, was no difference for us. We need to. We can't stagnate, Gav. We cannot. We'll get basically what will happen is we will give ourselves too much to do in the next summer.
yeah.
So obviously,
We're
journalists
kicking,
have
we're
come out.
kicking, we're kicking issues that are at our door right now in some
Right now.
cases, and probably a year down the line in some other cases. But we're kicking them all down the road.
Well, you tell
Basically, what we're
me.
doing. Yeah,
Look,
no.
exactly.
Look, that's from. So Antico says that Grizz Villa fans, on social media or wherever, or I don't know where else they are. They are saying that we've hijacked the Leon Bailey deal. Okay, so I don't know I haven't heard anything about that. Here, Kashiri says once our players are injured, they're out for the season. Well, I think that's something that we seen
Look,
last
that's
season
just look.
anyway.
This kind of feeling is just based on last season, is it? It's still sore. It's still sensitive. It's still fresh in our minds that when we get an injury, it seems to be fucking
Yeah,
season-ending injury. But
yeah.
look, I don't know how can we gauge for that? How do we know, like, if that happens again or not? There's no evidence or there's no facts that we can talk about. We can just um, rely on our medical team to know that everyone has recovered fully, and conduct all the tests during preseason to know that, yeah, they're back to the level that they were operating at before their injury, and there's nothing else we can do after that. To like, going in there with a negative mindset, each to their own.
Well, Krellin Torting Gavender says best keeper in Allison, best centre back in VVD, two of the best, if not the best, fullbacks, the best defence midfielder in Fabinho, the best leaders in Hendo in Europe, and the best front three. That's his outlook with regards to the season, I suppose. But the way I look at it is, I think if we start the season tomorrow, I would put money on Liverpool to win the title. Okay, all things being equal, and I know it's hard to get it out of your mind about the luck we had, I suppose, last season and the injury problems we had last season. But all things being equal, in a normal season where you get the odd injury here and there, and you get the suspension, and you get a lack of form from one or two, everybody gets it. Everybody gets it. What we got last season was just horrendous. I would put money on Liverpool to win the title. I genuinely would, but we aren't going to be going into to this season with the squad we have now. We aren't going to be going in against what the squads that are sitting around us have now. Even when with Sancho, City are rocking boats all over the place. They're rocking boats at Aston Villa. They're rocking the boat at Spurs for the two players we know about. And Chelsea apparently are looking to sign Lukaku now back for 100 million quid. and that's a rumor going around. Inter are trying their best to stop that. United, I don't know if have United confirmed Varane?
Yeah.
They have officially.
Well, he's signed, but the presentation is obviously
Okay,
not
so you have got Varane, you've got Sancho
Yeah.
there. They'll probably add one or two more, and that's where. And people would say, don't worry about what others are doing, but you kind of have to because they are competition. I've said it early on, Grizz. I would expect, I expected three in this summer. Now I still expect two more to come in. I still expect a midfielder to come in, and I still expect a forward to come in. And we're here to talk about Fabinho, and we're here to talk about his contract, and you can twist it whatever way you want, as diversion, as I've seen people saying, well, he's getting one, why isn't Hendo getting one, or why isn't this happening, or Salah needs to be done, and they'll all work themselves out. The club pay people a hell of a lot of money to do their job with regards to this. But I want to turn it the other way, Chris. So we expect two to come in, because when we look at this squad, I think a lot of people are in agreement with regards to Firmino, Mane, Salah, Jota, and anything else after that isn't up to it, in my opinion. Okay, Harvey Elliott has been touted as something or somebody that could come in and have an impact, absolutely. But I'm not sticking my hopes on an 18-year-old that's had a long spell at Blackburn,
No, mine.
to be your backup, to basically be your second backup to the front three. Okay. Now, wherever front three you pick, you're going to have I think you're either going to have Firmino as your first backup or Jota. Okay. I'm not pinning myself on that. I don't think it's fair on the guy. Same way I don't think it was fair on Curtis Jones last season a little bit with regards to what was expected of him and what was really a breakthrough season, that sort of way. So I definitely want to see something there. And midfield, I get very worried over midfield, Grizz. I'm delighted with Fabinho. I think Thiago, despite that big injury, I thought he got better and better as the season went on. Milner will do a job for you, 10, 15 games a season, off the bench or wherever it might be. I'm good with that. Jones has another year and he's bulked up a bit as well. I have no issue there. I have got issues with Keita and I have got issues with Oxlade-Chamberlain. And I don't care how much they run around in midfield in pre-season. I don't really care. When it comes down to actual games, in actual competitions, them boys it's just not. It doesn't fill me with any confidence. It really doesn't. So I want to see something in midfield. Are you in agreement with that, Chris? Because I can't for the life of me. I don't care how good Klopp is. I can't see for the life of me how Klopp can go through a season and basically his backup midfield is Oxlade-Chamberlain, Keita, and possibly Milner or Jones. I just can't see it, Chris.
You're asking for too much, Gav. Again, I'm kind of agreeing with you. I'm saying we're asking for too much from Klopp, I think, because it's not in the cases of Ox and Keita, it's not a season that they've had out with injuries. It's coming on to 3-4 seasons now, and it's a continuation. I don't know, you forgot or whatever. You haven't mentioned Matip and Gomez. Now, Gomez hasn't been injury prone, like in terms of
he's suffered injuries.
Exactly, he doesn't get muscle strains and pulls, whatever, like your Oxes and Caters. He actually gets big, massive impact injuries that put him out for months on end. Mm-hmm. And then you've got Matip again, and again we know about Matip. Unfortunately, just doesn't play enough football. Because if he played enough football, he would be known as one of the best defenders in Europe. Absolutely one of the best centre-backs in Europe, but just doesn't play enough football to warrant that title. And again, yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. The players that you mentioned midfield, it's too much of a workload on the named Fabinho, Thiago, Henderson, and Thiago, before he came to us, one of the things that was labelled at him was he misses too many games. Only last 3-4 seasons he's sort of found a new private trainer who he has with him all the time, and it's helped massively. But before then, during his young career, he missed a lot of football. It's Naby and Ox's. Look, if we get 15 to 20 games each of Naby and Ox, I think it'll be an absolutely outstanding season. I genuinely do, because the talent.
You've started that sentence with if though.
But this is it. This is why it's crucial that the central midfielder we bring in has a track record of not being the most skillful. Of course, that's an absolute must. When you play for Liverpool, you have to have a certain amount of skill and talent. But one of the main highest things that our scouts and analytics team will have looked at is his availability and durability.
Hmm. But do we have to, like, we've signed it, like, I'm kind of going to go back on myself here a little bit. And before I do, Krellin says again, all that being said, I totally agree with Grizz. It's the lack of availability in our squad depth. Add Vlahovic to that, and we have another dimension. And we get on to who we'd like to see and what we'd like to see happen in a little bit. But I'm going to kind of go back on myself because while I definitely want a midfielder, okay, and we've got a centre half in, and when you get the centre half in, you kind of say, well, Kanate's in there, and I've just said not 5 minutes ago, we pay people a lot of money to do their jobs with regards to the medical side of stuff and the analytics around it and whatever it might be. If we're going to go in with Kanate and trust that they've looked at VVD, they've looked at Gomez, they've looked at Matip, they've looked at whatever, and they've solved issues, whatever it might be. Should we really look at it the same in midfield and say, well, hold on, they've probably looked at Ox, they've probably looked at Keita over the last couple of months, who genuinely went out injured after, I think, a 7-0 win away at Palace and wasn't really seen again, bar one or two performances. And the talk was he was on his own fitness regime and it was tailored to him. If we're going to trust them with regards to Kanate in and trust what they know, do we have to do the same in midfield? Or is there just more evidence in midfield that, and very little evidence to show that there's been a change with regards to Ox and Keita?
Yeah, look, it is. I don't know. I don't know how else we can look at it, Gav. I don't know any other way of looking at it. We have to. We can only go by the history with us and injuries, and it's not. It's not good reading, is it, Gav? It's literally not good reading. I mean, you know, we all know, I think, by now because it's put out there so many times that Matip averages 12 games a season, like since his time here. That's atrocious. That's a quarter of a season he plays every season he's been here. I think, and obviously people in the chat will quickly do a Google search or whatever search you need to do. I think Naby's will be worse. Would you say, guess?
I'm not too sure. I think he's made about, and I could be wrong in this because I remember looking it up. I know that Jordan Henderson has played 40 games more than Naby Keita since Naby Keita has arrived. Okay. I think the amount of appearances Naby Keita has made since summer of 18, wasn't it? So 18, 19, so 3 seasons. I think he's made about 70 appearances for Liverpool. But, Pimp and Distress says, my favourite Klopp quote, I don't need the best team, just a team that can beat the best. That's everything you need to know. So if you want to look at a different angle, Grizz, with regards to the midfield, let's park Naby and Naby and Ox and just say to ourselves, we've lost Wijnaldum. Let's bring another person in not to replace him or be his replacement. I hate that phrase, Wijnaldum's replacement. Another player in to take his spot in the squad. Okay, and then your reliability is the same as last season. And Henderson has got injury issues as well. You have to look at that. Putting all that aside, Grizz, should we just simply be looking and going, listen, one midfielder has left. What we have left in midfield tells us we need one more. Is that the really simple way to look at it? And
it is the simple way.
Be looking at it?
If it was a Naby leaving the squad, if it was an Ox leaving the squad, if it was a James Milner leaving the squad this summer, then the need for a central midfielder with the rest of the numbers that we've got wouldn't be as much. But the fact that it was Gini Wijnaldum, Mr. Durable, like guaranteed to play 35 games minimum a season, it makes the need for a central midfielder at this stage, many would say, Gav, more than a forward. I don't know what your opinion is, but I wasn't with this opinion at the start of the window. But the more I read and analyze and try to relax and think about it, I think the need for a central midfielder may be as important, or if not, it's overtaken the need for an attacker. That's my say on it. Because of
Oh,
the fact that it was Gini Wijnaldum
mm,
and the fact that we've got Milner, Naby, and Ox still in that squad, which
I
they're
don't
not
know.
reliable.
I think the need for them both, in my opinion, the need for them both is fairly similar. I think
I'm
when
at a
you look
similar
when you
stage,
look
but
at when you look at the numbers, like, you know, at the moment we Fabinho, Thiago, Henderson, Jones, Milner, Ox, Naby. That's the seven midfielders at the moment. Okay, we've seven players there for possibly three positions. Now, people would say, well, you have three positions up front. Why haven't you got seven up front? They don't do as much in a game as three of Liverpool midfielders in particular. So there's a much heavier work rate on the midfield. But I think the forward thing, the one thing that does it for me with the forward thing, Grizz, is, and somebody said it on the show, one of the shows last week or the week before, they said people start to figure out how you're playing. And that's where Jota was important, because Jota was different. When Jota arrived, I was thinking, wide man kind of takes on players, he does get goals, he gets assists. What is he about? But there was so much to his game, and it was so different. He was getting in behind. He was really good finishes and stuff like that. And that's where I think that's where it hurt us when Jota got injured, Chris, because we went back to the front three, as brilliant as they are. People were just pinning them front three. They were pinning them and saying, right, we're putting loads of players around this front three. What are you going to do? Now, a lot of people think the answer there is probably a number 10, which it may be in like a Shaqiri or even an Elliott if you wanted to bring him in for an impact. But I think it's not. I think it's something different up front, because our team, I think, functions very, very well. Even if you're stifling our front three, the rest of our team can function really well. But something just a little bit different, a little bit unpredictable, I think, is what, for me, is what I would look for. And I think that's huge for the rest of the side as well, Chris, because you know if we have that front three and we're being stifled there, it's very, very hard for the midfield. If they can be as good as they want to be, but you need something different, Chris. Even I know Vlahovic just come up loads and loads, and people are getting sick and tired of the name, and I am a little bit as well, because there's just his name is thrown out there all the time, and nothing really seems to be happening with him. But something like that, a physical presence, an absolute physical presence, or even 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 if you're to say to me, not Vardy's probably the wrong thing, kind of example, but somebody that literally just says, "Look, I'm just in the box. I'm not interested in running channels. I'm not interested in fucking intricate play. Just put it in the box anywhere, and I'm a bit of a poacher, and I'll go for that." Do you know? I'm talking about something different, Grazer, and that's where I get where the Wijnaldum thing comes, where the reliability, and he's always there, and you knew what you were getting from him. But if I was being in a midfielder, I'd probably want something in that midfield where I don't really know what I'm going to get from, but I know he's fucking good. Do you know what I mean? And he's different, and you know how many times do our midfielders get beyond their front men? The sort of way, someone that runs from deep, and that's where I probably look for in midfield. And I think that's where, when you say you ask too much of Klopp, I think that's where it comes back to, because Klopp can put them out and Klopp can change and do whatever, but teams know basically what we're going to do. Like, they know what most teams are going to do. But I just think, with regards to midfielder and regards to striker, I think the need for them both, I think, is fairly equal, Chris. For a number of reasons, like I've said, I think it's fairly equal.
I, do you know what? I kind of think this when we talk about teams being able to read us is overplayed, and again, it's going back because of last season,
Yeah, and it
and
was probably, well, in fairness, it was probably a lack of confidence in the side because of everything that happened, and it was just, what do we know best? What get it wide and put it in the box, because that's a default thing.
yeah.
That's a little bit of an easy way out, and
Look,
I don't blame the players for that at times.
absolutely, you don't blame the players, especially when there is no feeling of strength through the spine. So when you haven't got a Virgil or a Matip and Henderson and Fabinho and Matt and Gomez sort of down the center of your spine, then everything else feels weak. You don't feel as though you can take risks that you can when you know the big boys are around you. And also, we keep forgetting that the reason why Thiago and Jota were brought in last summer was for the very reasons that you've said, or for the very problems that you've raised, in terms of there wasn't an X factor in our team. And we saw the X factor that Jota brought just before he was injured.
Mm.
And then we fucking missed him at the most
Yeah,
crucial part of
massively.
the season.
Yeah,
And we saw Thiago play a total different role from what he was brought to play. And
mm-hmm.
as a result, he suffered. And we thought, or we had numpty other clubs fans thinking he's a flop, when in reality it showed that once we got a certain amount of stability in terms of repetitive players playing in the same position, obviously not of the quality of Gomez, Matip, and Virgil, but in Phillips and Kabak and Phillips and Williams at times,
Yeah,
we showed, and Fabinho back in his rightful position, we showed it doesn't matter if you know what we're going to do, it's still very difficult to stop us. So it doesn't matter. Years upon years, people have been knowing what Robin's going to do, right? I'm going to give you an example. But try
yeah,
stopping Iron Robin.
yeah. He's
Same with
impossible
Mohamed
at
Salah.
times.
Everyone said, oh, he knows what we're going to do. We know Mohamed Salah. You know what he's going to do, but he
Mm.
finished that season again. You just can't stop him. I think it's slightly overplayed in terms of when people say, oh, we need that. But I agree with you. The more, look, it's a very simple case of Jurgen Klopp, you arming him with as many options, weapons. I
Yeah,
mean, look, you're a war zone man, right? I don't know how
yeah.
out of practice you are. You're a shit war zone
Very.
man, but you're,
I'm desperate at it.
yeah. But look, I hope I've given the right analogy, because like you're desperate. I can't even get started at it. So, but the more weapons a person has in his armory, the more options and ways he has to kill his opponent. And if you was, and if Jurgen Klopp is to get another weapon in his armory, i.e., a different type of weapon that he's got, and again the names come up, Vlahovic, or a different type of striker, as you allude to, or even a different type of number 10 or midfielder. As I mentioned on the last show, we've shown a great interest in Damsgaard, for example, Michael Damsgaard. Now, some people would say we've got that type of player. He actually reminds me of Phil Coutinho, a cross between Phil Coutinho and Curtis Jones. So, I don't get the thinking behind it myself, because I'm like you. I want someone in that box. I want a physical presence. I want a good Divock Origi. I want a quality Divock Origi.
Yeah,
Divock Origi won't give you link up play or anything, but Divock Origi should be, in essence, is described as a striker, as a number 9, who's there, who's physical, who can head the ball, who can get the end of crosses. I want to see those crosses that we get in being whipped home by the striker. That's the most boringest goal one can describe. But look at throughout all the league winning teams, including, I hate to go back to the Fergie teams. How many times did we see Beckham, Cole, or York just, we need to start scoring a lot of those dirty, nasty goals. We score too many good goals, or we struggle. That's the kind of player or forward, I think we need. But what we're targeting is different.
well, Ramos Khalil says, surely it makes sense to have a good header of the ball in the box when you have two of the best crossers at the fullback positions. What do you think? And I agree with him to a point. I think I love Trent's passing range. I love the way Robertson gets in behind so much, but and he's a superb left foot. And I do think sometimes, and Firmino's got on the end of quite a few of those, but I do kind of know where Ramirez is coming from, because at times you do think, yeah, it is a very simplistic way to do it, but it's very effective. If you have fullbacks like that can deliver balls like that, just put someone a bit bigger in the box. But you've mentioned Divock Origi there, and I've seen a lot of stuff, a lot of reports with regards to, Origi and Shaqiri, and those two look like the names that would leave. Minamino as well is being mentioned, and it seems to be that Liverpool are looking to move on to bring into, because of the amount of players they can register, and B, the amount of homegrown stuff. So they're trying to get rid of 2 non-homegrown to bring into that, so they can bring in 2 non-homegrown. It all adds up, how it works. But I'm going to be honest with you, Grizz, like, I seen what I thought was a quote from Shaqiri maybe a week ago, and it said, "I've told Liverpool I'm ready for a new challenge. They won't stand in my way this summer if I want to go and stuff like that." Lazio linked with somewhere between 10 and 14 million pounds. Now, today I've seen on the Liverpool website a big feature on Jadon Shaqiri about how he's looking forward to the new season and the Euros and this, that, and I'm kind of going, that doesn't stink of a player that's told the club he wants to go and they won't stand in his way. That's him. Divock Origi, for all the word that goes around, nothing happens with Divock Origi. Okay? And Minamino, I kind of have a soft spot for him. I'm being honest. I do have a soft spot for him. But I think he could be left till the last minute. And if we need to move somebody out of the squad, i.e. alone, or a permanent deal, if we can do it, I think he might be the break glass emergency move if needs be, come close to the end of the window. But Grizz, I suppose the question to you is, I think what we're going to bring in two, right? Do you care how we bring in two? Because a lot of people seem to think, well, just buy the two players you want. Just buy the two players you want, and Origi, Shaqiri, wherever it might be, just don't register them. Don't
Yeah, we can't.
let them
That's
go.
look. Yeah, that's the easy way, isn't it? That's the easy way of doing
It
it.
is the
Or
easy way, but that's not going to happen.
it
That's
doesn't
not
make
going to happen.
sense. That doesn't make sense.
And it doesn't make sense because if you bring two players in and you basically say to Origi and Shaqiri, I'm bringing these two in and they're replacing you, they're going to sit there and go, well, I'm not getting the money I want over there, so I'll just sit here and I'll run down my deal and I'll leave for nothing. So that doesn't really make a lot of sense. You have to look at it in a
Realistic
financial
way.
sense as well. You do have to, don't you?
Of course you do. Look, we're not blessed with the finances of a PSG or Man City or a Chelsea that can do to their players and leave them lying around, on 100 grand a week, whatever, and collect their wages. We can't. When unfortunately, there has to be a dose of reality. Yes, I have criticized in the past, and I will continue to criticize if we don't manage to shift them, that we ourselves have put ourselves in this situation. When I say we, i.e., Edwards, FSG, Klopp,
Mm-hmm.
I think on the Fatback 4, Gav, yesterday, what day is it? The day before.
2 days ago.
Yeah, I reversed a question to Keith and Phil, and I said, well, it's someone's fault because they were glorifying Edwards and FSG and meticulous planning, and it's brilliant. I said, well, it's not all brilliant because the fact is we've got two or three players that we need to shift, and we should have shifted in the last 2-3 windows that we haven't managed to shift. And now we've got a situation where Origi is very happy to sit on his, contract with all these bids that are coming in for him, and we're happy to accept the bid, but he's not happy to cut down his wage. And that's a fault of our technical team in terms of Edwards and Klopp and whatnot, because we should have planned this better. We now find ourselves in a situation, as you say, that we can't purchase any players because of all the legalities of it, the rules of it.
Do you think that we can't purchase any players? Do
No, we can.
do you personally believe that I find it hard to believe that Liverpool Football Club before the summer, and I get where you're coming from with regards to Klopp or FSG or Edwards and planning, and I think Shaqiri's probably there a year too long, and I think Origi most certainly is possibly 2 years too long.
No doubt.
But there's no way in my mind Liverpool are sitting around going, we just have to get rid of these two and then we can start talking about what we're going to do and then we make moves. From past experience with Liverpool and the planning that they've put in place, for the majority of what they've done, I think one or two have slipped through the net. I think Origi's a massive one. But I genuinely do believe that they're literally waiting to pull the trigger on one or two. But they're waiting for these to go out because they weaken their stance if they were to bring in two players now. They weaken their stance. Because if they bring in two players now, the 15 million bid for Origi is now 8 million. And the 12 million or 14 million pound bid for Shaqiri is now 6 million. Because now clubs know you want these out. You want them out.
I think we're doing a disservice to directors of football all around Europe that don't know this. I honestly do, Gav. I sometimes think we tend to overplay the genius of our people and look down on others, and they don't know this. There's a reason There's an absolute reason we're getting bids of 8 million and 6 million and 10 million for our players, because they know the situation. There's far more intelligent people than us out there, working for other clubs that know the situation, that know the contracts of every single player. We've got to bite the bullet at some point, and I believe it's going to be this summer, in the next few weeks, where we have to accept we've messed up, Gav, a little bit. We have to accept it. We've got ourselves in a box now where the only way out is to accept probably in the region of half the value of bids that we would have got 2 seasons ago. So COVID fucked us. We know that. We accept that. We know that. I accept that. And you give them credit for that. Not credit, but you give them sympathy that we were supposed to sell these guys in the COVID summer. And nobody had money, so nobody done any kind of business. But now, where it's a point at where we can see the general age and condition of the squad is, in my opinion, past his utmost peak. Right?
Mhm.
It's still brilliant. And we both discussed it. We both think we'll challenge for the title. You'd put money on it. I'd say we finish first or second, 100%. But in order to bring that players in, you said, can we bring players in without moving them? We can. We could just go and buy English homegrown players.
But what I'm saying is, I don't mean in that way.
No, but what I mean is we can do that in terms of the logistics of it. We can go out and buy McGinn and a Bowen, for example. I'm just putting names out there.
But that's just, now you're just buying them because
of the situation that we've put.
Do you know what I mean?
But that's
sorry. I just want to say one thing. And Michael Lee has said that we missed the super chat. It didn't come up on air screen, Michael. But I'm not doubting you. So I'm just going to keep an eye on the chat as much as you can.
Just put the comment out without the super chat.
Just put it in there again without the super chat, and I'll read it out, and I'll keep an eye. It does 600, 700 people watching. So
how many have liked it, Gav? Just for
I haven't got a clue, Grizz. I don't look at likes anymore.
It's probably pathetic, and I'm going to get angry. But anyway.
I don't look at it. I know you get upset, but I don't look at it. I just ask people to watch, and if they can like on the way out, that's cool. But if Michael Lee can just throw his comment in without a super chat, just copy and paste it in there without putting a super chat in, and I'll absolutely have a look at it. Naeem says it was at 22:39. Our chat on air screen only goes back to it doesn't go back that far. It's only going back the last 5 minutes because of the amount of comments that are coming in. But look, we're in agreement on this on two players. I think it's fair that we probably have to move people out, and I think that's just sensible. That's just sensible stuff where you say, look, we can't overload the squad. We can't overload the squad and just go, listen, bring the players in we want and let's try to get them out. It doesn't make sense. And I think, in fairness, I think people have a right to be. If Liverpool are trying to do this with Origi and Shaqiri now, I think people have a right to be a little bit peeved with it, saying, well, look, you knew this was coming. The sort of way it was probably should have happened last year, and now we're here this year, and it still hasn't happened. Here it is. Here, sorry, Michael Lee. I've no doubt you've sent the super chat. I've no doubt on that. He said, regarding Suarez, what do you think of going for him? We seem to not want to spend massive money, and United get Cavani and was a hit. Thiago Silva. Should we look at this? Let's talk about that for a minute. Because he's out of contract at Atletico Madrid. I don't think he's signed for anybody else. Luis Suarez, would you do it?
Who wouldn't? In your right mind, if you tell me a season and if you tell me that we can't get any of our first choice targets, like the journalists are trying to tell us, and if you say, all right, well, in the meantime, when the likes of Haaland are available for 70 million next season, and I don't know who else, there'll be loads of people on the market next season as well. And if you say Suarez to add to the quartet, because I don't consider Shaqiri, Elliott as able deputies for the front three, only Jota and the front three. If you tell me add Suarez to that for a season to give you 15, 20 games of Suarez and added to that fire, That's a potent. Potion right there, Gav. I don't think anyone in their right mind says no,
Hmm.
except possibly Klopp.
Rowan Shaw is saying Suarez is out of contract 2022, not now. I think he was out of contract at Madrid, no? Was he not on a 1 year deal? Or did he have an option for a second one? He could
Yeah,
have. I'm not too sure.
okay, well, they're saying that
Um,
Suarez already signed. Derwin Jones says
okay.
Suarez is
I
already
didn't know. I haven't heard anything about Luis Suarez
yeah.
since Atletico won the league, and I was under the impression that he was a 1 year deal, but he
This is
must have signed
this
another one.
kind of this kind of sums up my opinion as well. Realistically, where's it gone? 1 ton of super noodles. Says Klopp is not going to bring back anyone back. No chance. I mean, that sort of ties in with the Phil Coutinho, rumors every summer of will he come back? Will he come back? But it's Klopp just won't take anyone back. Who's left us in the first place. But look, if Suarez was available, I don't think it's possible to turn him down if he was absolutely hungry and wanted to come back, which would be, the utmost importance to Jurgen Klopp. That would be the first and foremost requirement for a Jurgen Klopp. Do you really want to be here? I will make you work your bollocks off, regardless of who you are. Look, he
Mm,
had Thiago covering fucking fullbacks this season, right?
yeah.
So Jurgen Klopp doesn't give a shit who you are. If Thiago Alcantara has to cover for Trent when he's going forward, then And I don't know if Luis Suarez would be up for that kind of challenge, but you never know. He's a mad bastard.
Yeah. There's a couple of things there saying Aston Villa have made an approach for Curtis Jones on a loan. A couple of people said in the chat, don't know what that is. I think that'd be a bit weird
Mad, yeah.
of a deal to do. And Chelsea pushing hard for Lukaku, as we mentioned earlier. And
It's going to be a mad end. I think
yeah,
Sky Sports are finally going to get their mad transfer week.
yeah, I think they might.
Every year they talk about it and they want to build up. I think they could, and I think look, I'm going to say it out there, Gav. I think we do a midfielder before the start of the season, and I think the attacker could go on. I think the search for an attacker could go on into the last week or two. It's 2 weeks after the
Yeah,
kickoff.
it's more or less 4 weeks today. I think
Yeah.
the window closes
I'd
in
be
around that.
I'd be very surprised if
4
we
weeks
get
yesterday, I
both
think.
an attacker and a midfielder before the start of the season. But I definitely think we'd get a midfielder and then attacker. We wait.
So it all kind of hinges really on possibly moving two out to bring two in, and I'm okay with that. Like I don't really care how it happens, but I'm okay with that. I see the reasoning behind that because you don't want to have players there that you're not going to register. They're costing you a lot of money in wages, and their value is massively decreased if you bring in two players and then you're left with these other two here as well, or you decrease their value. Wolves are being linked with a 10 million bid for Divock Origi. But listen, we're going to wrap it up. We said we'd do an hour. We've done an hour and 1 minute. But look, this is going to evolve on. We wanted to come on and talk, but we're both delighted with Fabinho. I think regardless of people saying, "Oh, this is just diversion," or "This is going to be the big thing," this summer it's just going to be contract renewals. Canate, we're not going to do anything else. But on face value, I think we're both absolutely delighted with the Fabinho thing. Two more things to finish really quickly because I know Grizz has to go. He's a busy man. But the Siena's steps, the information's in the show description and you can get it on our pinned tweet. And you can go to GoFundMe and type in Sienna Steps if you want to. You can go onto our website and find the merchandise for her, which all money go to her. And you can also find the link to us trying to sell out Anfield at £1 a ticket. Please, try and help this out. She has got a date in November that she has been invited to St. Louis in America to take to get this treatment. And basically, they have 60,000 of the 120,000 raised. So they need 60,000 in the next 12 or so weeks. And we're going to do our absolute utmost. We're trying to give them everything we earn. We're trying to push it out there on social media as much as we can. I always ask us that. If you're watching this and you can donate, please do so. If you can't, copy the links and send them on to everybody you know. Somebody might look at it. if you send it to 20 people and one person looks and says, "Oh, I'll donate," and they send it on to 20 people, and it'll build up, and hopefully we can get her there, because it's a massive opportunity in November. Okay, please, try help us out with that. It's something that is very close to us, and we're trying our absolute best. I'd hate to miss this in November, because you never know when that chance comes up again. And the last thing I want to touch on, sorry, the second last thing is the rest of the week. Jamie's on tomorrow night. Myself, Jamie, Keith, and Conan, the Aston Villa fan who's always great value. We're on the midweek fix tomorrow, talking about VAR and Man City rocking boats, and players to look at next season, I think, is part of that show. Towards the Euro back, Grizz, we're a slight match reaction. Because they're playing 2 60-minute games on Thursday. So we've given you the chance to do our match reaction. And Avi launches a show on Friday night, Sports Unplugged, which covers all the sports around the world. I think Olympics heavy this Friday, but it promises to be a brilliant show. And that's us for the rest of the week. The last thing I want to talk about and quickly say is, some of you may have seen on last night's show at the forum, where a conversation started about sports books, and it ended with Gar telling a story, a very personal story, which I genuinely think is one of the bravest things I've ever seen on air platform. Anyway, it is the bravest thing I've ever seen on air platform. And I just want to say, the lads that were on the show last night handled it very well. People on social media have been extremely nice to Gar today and complimentary to him, and he absolutely deserves that. But I want to, from me, Grizz, and all the other LFC Daytrippers lads that weren't on the show last night, and our friends with Gar, that I wanted to say on their behalf that was an extremely brave thing to do. And Gar says that we stand by him and we've helped him and all, but Gar helps a lot of people as well. I don't want people to think that Gar doesn't do anything for anybody, because he does a lot for me and he does a lot for everybody else. So I think it was very important to say that. The other thing is, people can talk about numbers and subscribers and views or whatever it might be. Possibly I suppose the proudest things we have on this is, A, having a community here, B, helping out Keane to get the money he needed when he was in America, C, what we're doing for CNN now. And this is probably what happened last night. Is probably one of the proudest moments I've had watching the LFC Daytrippers. I wasn't even involved, but it was one of the proudest moments I've ever had, because the bravery shown by him last night, I think, will emanate around to other people that will watch and listen and know that, I can talk to people. I can pick up the phone. I can message people. I can, no matter how low I'm feeling, there is people out there that will help you in an official capacity or just a friendship thing. And if we can help anybody in any way, I think that's the biggest, absolutely the biggest thing about this channel, bar absolutely none. So I just wanted to say to Gar, thanks for what you done last night. I want to say to Andy, I want to say to Davo, and I want to say to Peter, a thank you to them, because they handled it extremely well when Gar spoke about it. And I want to thank everyone on social media that's been really nice to Gar and supportive today, and showing him that, he was at a bad time in his life. He's got through it, and he's so many friends, and he helps so many people. It's especially in junior football and stuff like that. It's great to see that he's come out the other side of that, and he's prospering in his life. And for us to be a little bit part of that, or even give him a platform to help people, I think has been absolutely unbelievable. So I'm going to leave it at that, but I didn't want to leave it without saying that, because I know all the lads in the LFC Daytrippers wanted to say something, and I wanted to say it on their behalf. So I just wanted to leave it on that. And a massive thanks to the people in the chat that were supportive of Gar and have left comments and left comments in the after show last night and stuff like that. So thanks to everybody, and well done to everybody for Gar, the way he spoke, and everybody else, both on screen and off screen, the way they handled it afterwards. So I just wanted to say that. Okay, Grizz, it's been an absolute pleasure. I'm sorry for keeping you for 1 hour and 7 minutes.
No problem.
That's you're the way it goes. But
listen, listen. You're back. The boss is back. This was your way of, putting your foot down, but I have to accept it. You promised me 30 to 40 minutes.
Yeah, I did. You said how long? I went 30 to 40 minutes. Yeah, which usually means 80.
Oh, Lord.
Always double it.
Listen, I want to echo what you said about Gar in the comments, and especially the reaction. the reaction from our viewers, subscribers, listeners was nothing short of brilliant and amazing.
Yeah,
And that's the kind of thing that inspires people like God to come out and speak out and be brave. So, kudos to everyone involved in last night's show. And of course, me and God speak on a daily basis. But again, well done, brother.
yeah, absolutely. That has been a Fatback 4 special. Fabinho signed a long-term deal at Liverpool, and he's with us until 2026. As I said, there is shows for the rest of the week, and if any other breaking news comes around, we will get to that as well. Thanks for watching. That's been me. That's been Grizz. Over and out.